The Whitechapel Vale. Unknown. The Whitechapel Vale. Case 1. Chapter 1. The Pull. The rain hadn't stopped in 3 days. Noah van der Berg stood at the window of his apartment, watching the canals of Amsterdam ripple under the assault. The old buildings across the water looked like watercolor paintings left out in a storm, their reflections bleeding into the gray. Behind him, Emma was making coffee. He could hear her humming something, the clink of cups, the small domestic sounds that had become his lifeline these past few months, since everything fell apart, since he'd lost the badge, the career, the person he thought he was. "You're brooding again," she said. "I'm thinking." "You're brooding." She appeared beside him, pressing a warm mug into his hands. Her hair was pulled back, and she was wearing his old university sweater, the sleeves too long. There's a difference. Thinking involves forward motion. Brooding is just circling the drain. He almost smiled. Poetic. "I'm a poetic person." She leaned into him, her shoulder against his arm. "Any cases?" "Maybe. A woman thinks her husband is hiding money before the divorce. Wants me to find it." "Exciting." "It pays." She was quiet for a moment. The rain kept falling. "Noah." Her voice had changed. Softer. Careful. "You know you did the right thing. With Janssen. With all of it." He didn't answer. The right thing. He'd done the right thing, and it had cost him everything. The corruption he'd uncovered went deeper than he'd imagined, and the system had protected itself the way systems always do. They'd made him the villain, falsified reports, whispered words in the right ears. By the end, even cops he'd worked with for years wouldn't meet his eyes. Disgraced. That was the word they used, as if honor was something they had the right to take. "I know," he said finally, because Emma needed to hear it, because she'd stayed when everyone else had walked away, and he owed her at least the pretense of being okay. She kissed his shoulder and drifted back toward the kitchen. Noah raised the mug to his lips and froze. His wrist was burning. Not warm, not uncomfortable, burning, like someone had pressed a lit cigarette to his skin and held it there. He gasped, the mug slipping from his fingers. It shattered on the hardwood floor, coffee spreading like dark blood. He grabbed his wrist, pulling back his sleeve. The tattoo. That damn tattoo he'd tried to convince himself was a drunken mistake, a hallucination, a fever dream from the worst night of his life. The Eye of Horus, cradled in an open hand, inked into his skin by a woman whose face he could barely remember. It was glowing. Golden light pulsed beneath his flesh, bright enough to see the shadows of his bones. The eye seemed to open, seemed to look at him, and the pain, God, the pain was everywhere now, not just his wrist, but his whole body, like reality itself was rejecting him. "Noah," Emma's voice, distant, muffled, like she was calling to him through water. "Noah, what's wrong? What's—" He tried to speak, tried to reach for her. The room stretched, the walls bent outward, like a photograph being pulled at the corners. Colors bled into each other, the gray of the rain, the warm yellow of the kitchen light. Emma's face, her eyes wide with terror. "Emma!" He was falling. No, not falling. Being pulled. Something had hooked into his chest and was dragging him backward, downward, through. The world tore like wet paper, and behind it was darkness, was noise, was the sound of 1,000 clocks ticking out of sync. Then nothing. Cold. That was the first thing. Cold and wet, soaking through his clothes. Noah opened his eyes. He was lying on stone, cobblestones, slick with rain, pressing into his cheek. The air was thick with smells, coal smoke, sewage, something rotting nearby. His head pounded, his wrists still throbbed with a dull, fading heat. He pushed himself up slowly, his palms scraping against the rough ground. He was in an alley, narrow, dark. The walls on either side were brick, blackened with soot. Somewhere above him, a gas lamp flickered weakly. Gas lamp. He looked down at himself. His clothes were wrong. Gone were his jeans, his sweater, his modern coat. He was wearing rough wool trousers, a threadbare shirt, a jacket that smelled of smoke and old sweat. A cap lay on the ground beside him, as if it had fallen from his head. What the hell? He stumbled to his feet, one hand on the wall for balance. The alley opened onto a street, if you could call it that, more like a canyon of leaning buildings, their upper floors nearly touching overhead. People moved through the murky half-light, women in long mud-stained dresses, men in caps and coats, shoulders hunched against the drizzle. A cart rattled past, pulled by a horse so thin Noah could count its ribs. No cars, no electric lights, no hum of modern life. A newspaper page, caught by the wind, plastered itself against his leg. He peeled it off, hands trembling. The Times, September 8th, 1888. Below the date, a headline screamed, "Another horrible murder in Whitechapel." Noah's stomach dropped. 1888. Whitechapel, the Ripper. "You look lost." He spun. She was standing at the mouth of the alley, half hidden in shadow. Dark hair pinned beneath a modest hat. A dress that matched the era, but somehow looked like a costume on her. And her eyes, calm, watchful, familiar. The woman from the bar. "You," he breathed. She stepped closer. In the faint light, he could see the edge of her wrist, where her sleeve had pulled back. The same tattoo, the eye, the hand. "My name is Iris," she said, "and you have questions, but there isn't time." "Isn't time?" He laughed, a sharp, broken sound. "I'm in 1888. This is impossible. This is real." Her voice cut through his panic like a blade. "This is real, Noah, and you need to listen." He forced himself to breathe. In, out. The cold air burned his lungs. The city stank around him. A woman was crying somewhere, a thin wail that rose and fell. "What is this?" he asked. "What did you do to me?" "I marked you for the Hand of Hours." "The what?" "An organization. Old. Older than you can imagine." She tilted her head, studying him. "We correct things, fix what went wrong, and now, so do you." "I didn't agree to this. I didn't." "No," she said simply. "You didn't." Something cold settled in his chest. Not fear, something worse. The understanding that his choices had been taken from him. "What do I have to do?" His voice was flat. "There's a case. A woman is dead, or will be, soon. The wrong person will be blamed. The real killer will go free." Iris paused. "Unless you stop it. And if I don't, then you stay here." She gestured at the street, the soot-stained buildings, the gutters running with filth. "Forever. Time only lets you go when the wrong has been righted." Noah stared at her. "That's insane." "Yes," she almost smiled. "It is. How do I—" But she was already fading, not walking away, fading, like fog burned off by sun. Her edges grew soft. Her form became translucent. "Wait," he said. "Wait, you can't just solve it, Noah." Her voice came from everywhere and nowhere. That's the only way back. Then she was gone. He stood alone in the alley, in a city that shouldn't exist for him, in a time that had ended over a century before he was born. His wrist ached. And somewhere in Whitechapel, a woman was about to die. End of chapter 1.